Fantastic. I think many of you in the room were here yesterday for part one of probably our most outside equipment questions are around digital social media marketing. And Ed presented the first stage of that today. I think we mentioned we did a test case in Queensland, and what we're going to do now is present that test case, or that case study, I should say, and of course let you know that all the information on the slides today will be available online, and at the end of this this digital study that we've done, we're hoping to be able to give everybody a step-by-step guide. So the desk session, the last session of the morning, thank you all for staying.
It's a tough act following the Americans. I've done it twice now. I think they were born to present, those guys. For those of you who weren't here yesterday, my name is Ed Wright, and I'm the Director of Digital Marketing Agency X Marketing in Melbourne. In yesterday's session, we spoke about the basics of a successful digital marketing campaign, the must-do items for any business, the free and paid services on offer, and when and how much you should spend for these services on an agency like mine. Today, we're going to make the marketing practices we discussed in that session and put them into action in a real-world case study. Meet Washed for Cars, a Brisbane-based tunnel business with two locations, Hope Island on the Gold Coast and Maruka in Brisbane. And this is Samantha Watts, partnered with Jamie Whincup in the Washed business. Samantha has very kindly helped me over the last 4 months test various marketing strategies so that we can present them to you today, and the hope that you can gain some insights into what worked and what didn't, and if you're running similar ad campaigns, you can benchmark your results against ours. Washed for Cars uses a fully flat conveyor that allows customers to wash and dry in under 4 minutes. They have both subscription and casual customers and estimate that most of their business comes from within a 4-kilometre or 8-minute drive of their sites. They have an email database of over 17,000 people and the ability for customers to sign up to their monthly Wash Club subscriptions either online through their website or in store. In today's session, we're going to look specifically at the paid options of digital advertising, namely Facebook and Google search ads, and run 3 different campaigns, a month each, to test what worked best. I'll go into some detail on each campaign and show you, where we can, the direct results from each and whether they delivered a return on Washed's investment. I'll then show you under the hood of the ad platforms so you can see for yourselves how we create these campaigns and target new customers. I'll talk a little bit about what the next steps would be if you felt this was something of potential value for your business, whether it's a skill you want to learn for yourself or whether you might need help from a professional, and if so, who they are and what you should pay for them. At the end of the presentation, I hope you'll have a better understanding of the realities of running ad campaigns like these and whether they are of something value for your business, and if so, how to get started. So, before I go into detail, and for the sake of those of you who weren't here yesterday, this is why we invest in digital advertising. In Australia, there are close to 3 million searches in Google a year for the phrase car wash. If we add the phrase car wash near me, we get another 3 million searches, a total of 6 million. Country of 26 million people, we're searching car wash near me or car wash 6 million times. As I mentioned yesterday, this has doubled in the last 12 months. The size of the audience is only growing. So how do we get in on this action? Working with Sam Watts, one of the owners of Wash Cars, we decided we'd test 3 campaigns focusing on different parts of their business. We spent $2,000 a month on advertising across Facebook and Google and ran tests for 1 month each and then assessed the results. Starting with month 1, we focused our attention on 3 aspects of the business. The campaign goal was to drive online sales of the Washed for Cars monthly subscription service, Wash Club. The Wash Club offers customers various pricing tiers to choose from and the ability to sign up via their website or in-store. It's recurring revenue for the business and a more attractive customer than the drive-up, accounting for roughly 30% of total sales, helping to smooth revenue out over the year. Sam estimated that the total lifetime value of a customer, or in marketing parlance, LTV, for their subscription service is around $275. And if we could generate new subscriptions online at a cost of around 25% of this, or $68 per customer or better, then we would deem it a success. There are a few terms in digital marketing that are worth spending the time to understand. One is this concept of lifetime value, which can be measured by the number of times on average a customer returns to your business and what they spend each visit. Another important concept is that of cost per acquisition, or CPA as it's referred to, and simply means how much does it cost in advertising to generate the next customer. The final concept worth understanding is your return on ad spend, or ROAS as we call it in the industry. ROAS is how many dollars do I get back for every $1 I spend. In e-commerce parlance, examples of a ROAS of 3 times or higher is often deemed good. None of these measurements speak to profitability, as they do not take the cost of the product into consideration, but can be very useful when it comes to price setting. If you know your rough cost per acquisition, you can, within reason, build this into your pricing. So, lifetime value, cost per acquisition, and return on ad spend. If you can get your head around these 3 concepts, you're well on your way to being a digital marketing expert. You'll see here for the ad campaign we ran that we can hone in on a close radius to our business location and only target those within a short drive. This is a feature that both the advertising platforms, Google and Facebook, offer. The second campaign we set up was a $5 off campaign. The ad ran across both Facebook and Google and required the user to give us their name and email address in order to receive a coupon. The goal here was twofold. Firstly, to measure the success of an online campaign in-store, and secondly, to build the business's email database. The third campaign we ran in the first month was advertising a Mother's Day gift pack that could be purchased via the website for $99. The gift pack included a towel, cleaning products, and a 2-month car cleaning voucher. It was timed to run for the 3 weeks before Mother's Day and was the easiest for us to measure, as we can track direct sales from the ads through to the website's e-commerce system. In Facebook, we used a carousel type ad because we had several points we wanted to make about the offer. And with this type of ad, we can show multiple photographs and features. So how did we go? Let's look at the Wash Club campaign first. Starting with the Google advertising, over the 30 days, we spent a total of $350 and sent just over 100 people to the Wash Club page on their website. The top 2 performing keywords, unsurprisingly, were car wash and car wash near me. And of the 100 people, we can see that 15 clicked through to the sign-up page. In Facebook, we spent a similar amount, $330, but in this channel, it generated over 1,400 click-throughs to the website, nearly 15 times as many as Google for the same price. However, we can see from the tracking that only 13 people visited the sign-up page, a similar number to Google. This is a good example of the differences between Google and Facebook advertising. For the same amount of investment, we got a similar result, but it required Facebook to send 15 times as many visitors to the website to achieve this. So for a combined spend of $680, we got a total of 1,500 visits to the website, with 28 people clicking through to the sign-up page. Samantha has estimated that she received 12 sign-ups for the period via the web campaign, which translated to a $56 cost per acquisition and $12 below our targeted CPA, and demonstrated a return on ad spend of 4.8 times. So for every $1 invested, it generated $4.80. At this stage, the Wash Club campaign showed some promise, and I'll go into some detail later how we further optimised the campaign in month 2. It is important to note that these results only include sales attributed directly from the marketing campaign and don't include their other online and in-store sales. The second campaign we ran was the $5 off coupon, and the nature of this campaign made it easier to track results. We can see from a spend of $290 in Google, we generated 105 click-throughs to the website. Again, the main keywords were car wash and car wash near me. In Facebook, we spent a similar amount, 293, and sent 861 people to the website. In total, we collected 54 email sign-ups, a cost of $10 per email, and interestingly, only 8 people redeemed their coupon at a cost of $72 per customer and a return on ad spend of only 1.8 times. It's fair to say that this campaign was in many ways a failure. And interestingly, Samantha ran a mailbox drop campaign at the same time at a cost of around $740, and it generated 17 customers at a rate of $43 per customer. Still high, but worth noting, better than the results we could generate in digital. The third campaign we ran, the Mother's Day gift pack, included a micro towel, smelly balls, and 2-month cleaning, all for the $99. In Google, we spent $272, and in Facebook, $256, with Google sending 117 visitors to the page, and in Facebook, 388, for a total of just over 500 visitors. You'll see here that the results from the 2 campaigns are much closer in volume. This is because we used a sales campaign type in Facebook, which allows you to select an action you want a user to take. In this case, purchase a product, and optimize the campaign to those who Facebook determine are the most likely to take this action. It's one of the best features they offer, but also comes at a higher cost, which you'll see by the smaller numbers who've clicked on the campaign compared to the previous 2. And I'll explain this in some more detail later on. So how did it perform? We spent a total of $528 and generated 22 sales online at $99 per sale. This was gross revenue of just over $2,100 and a cost per acquisition of $24, a return on ad spend of 4.1 times. As before, it's important to note these results only include sales attributed directly from the advertising, the digital advertising, and don't include other online and in-store sales. The results of this campaign showed promise, and one thing we didn't get the chance to test that I would have liked to was a more generic gift pack that could be bought as a gift and sold all year round. I believe this type of campaign could be successful too, assuming the price point worked both for your business and the customer. There's also the opportunity, if you're selling product, that you can expand your reach beyond your local market and ship Australia-wide or even internationally, given the right product and price. One limitation car washers will always have from an online marketing perspective is the size of your potential audience, being limited to those who live within the distance they are willing to drive to use your services. This is likely to be in the thousands and tens of thousands. But if you can develop a product offering that complements your business and be sold online, you can open yourself up to millions of prospective customers. So, to summarise the first month, we ran 3 different campaigns across both Facebook and Google with mixed results. For a total spend of around $1,800, we sent just over 3,000 visitors to the Washed for Cars website, sold 22 Mother's Day gift packs, and signed up 12 new Wash Club members, and collected 54 emails, and had 8 coupons redeemed. These are direct results of the advertising and not all sales. While it's difficult to calculate the ultimate return, as we have no way of tracking the number of customers who saw an ad, visited the website, and then came to the site during this time, we can, using the lifetime value of a casual and subscription customer, approximate that we generated over $6,500 in new revenue and a 3.2 times return on ad spend. Overall, for the month, it was difficult to say whether the online advertising had a wider impact on sales growth given the short time frame and the elephant in the room for your industry, the weather, being 36% wetter than the year before. So in month 2, we went all in on Wash Club. We did this because it has the best return on investment in regard to the lifetime value of a customer, and we can use the ad platform to track and therefore optimise the campaigns to find new potential customers. We spent a similar amount as month 1, just over $1,900, split evenly across Facebook and Google, and this time our goal was to see if we could improve the Wash Club sign-up cost per acquisition, and with a 3 times higher spend on that campaign, more than in month 1, we wanted to test if it could be scaled to reach more customers at a similar cost per acquisition. So how did we go? Interestingly, the spend on that campaign resulted in almost the exact same number of visitors to the website as when we ran the 3 campaigns in the month before. Just over 3,000 people came to the site, with Facebook delivering 88% of the traffic and 60% of the people who went to the sign-up page. While Google delivered a similar percentage of the traffic, only 12%, but 40% of those who visited that sign-up page. In total, we had 20 sign-ups for the month to the Wash Club, equating to a cost per acquisition of $94 and a return on ad spend of 2.9 times. We can see from these results that as we increased the ad spend, so too did the cost per acquisition increase, up from $56 in month 1 to $94 in month 2, making it harder to generate a profit from each customer at this spend. In this case, we deemed that the cost per acquisition from both Google and Facebook campaigns a little too high to try and scale this campaign further, and decided to try something new in the 3rd month. Interestingly, revenue for the month compared to the year before was clearly up, which I'm more than happy to claim because of our marketing activities, but to be fair, there were other activities going on as well, including local sponsorships for the business. So, with 2 months' results under our belt, in month 3 we changed tack and turned off the Facebook campaign and just concentrated on the 2 main Google search terms, car wash and car wash near me, sending users to the homepage of the Wash for Cars website this time, rather than a specific Wash Club landing page like we had in the months 1 and 2. The idea was to see if we could establish a baseline advertising within Google that Samantha would be comfortable continuing for a longer period of time. And for this reason, we scaled the spend back to something that would not keep her awake at night, closer to $600 for the month. The first thing we noticed with this more generic approach was that the cost per click, what we pay for each visitor, went down significantly. In month 1 and 2, it was $2.84, but in month 3, we managed to get this down to $1, which meant for our spend of $612 over the month, we were able to generate 616 visitors to their website. To be expected with the focus not solely on the Wash Club, we only got the 1 Wash Club sign-up generated from a direct click-through. But we can see that 53 people have visited the Wash Club pricing page and expect that some of this traffic may have converted in-store or online at a later date. With this more generic approach, it's difficult to calculate the results in the same way as the other 2 campaigns, as we can't track the number of people who clicked on an ad, visited the website, and then visited one of the 2 sites. But what we can see is that the total sales for the business increased even further this month compared with the last, with the 2 main marketing activities being this digital marketing campaign and an email offer to their existing Wash Club members. So, what did I learn? Lots of data, lots of detail on different approaches, some clear results, both good and bad, some trends that showed the longer-term benefits. But what were the real learnings? Well, as a total newcomer to your industry, and in true marketing specialist style, assuming I knew everything before I started, I can honestly say that I learnt a lot. Firstly, your industry customer pricing is at the lower end, $20, $50, $80 sales, and this makes generating a return on advertising harder. Traditionally, e-commerce likes to work at an average cart value of around $100, and that sweet spot usually works something like this: $35 to Facebook or Google, $35 for product costs, and $35 for business costs and profit. If you reduce the sale value to below 50, the cost per acquisition doesn't scale down in a straight line, and you're left with the cost of your next customer being close or even higher than the profit it may generate. It's likely that in your industry, this is the territory we exist in. So if this is the case, we then need to look at the lifetime value of a customer, or more simply, how many times do they come back? It's very important to understand your repeat customer rate and be willing to see their first visit in the context of their total lifetime value, how many times they will return. If you don't take this approach, it's possible you'll find it hard to justify the investment in digital advertising and stop before you give it time for results to show. Secondly, in digital marketing, we pride ourselves that everything is measurable. The reality is quite complicated to measure with any confidence the increased digital ads will make in store. Unless we run a coupon-type promotion and measure that way, we'll never truly know the number of customers we have generated. Even when we do run it, we get a low response, which can be a false indicator of failure, as not everyone will sign up for a coupon, especially at a small saving. The more likely outcome is an increase over time in sales as more people in your area become familiar with your business and see its brand advertising online, and then reinforced when they drive past. There are decades of research to back up the increased likelihood of customers taking action if they've seen your brand advertised before. Thirdly, as I touched on earlier, you are retail businesses with bricks and mortar stores, and your audience size is defined by the distance they are willing to drive for your services. Us digital marketers love to work in the millions of people audience sizes. It's where digital marketing really hits its stride. When we reduce to the thousands and tens of thousands, we can throttle its potential and need to be careful that our budgets aren't too high for the area geographically that we're covering. The ad platforms are very good at taking your daily spend, no matter what it is, and I believe a less is more approach is the right one here when it comes to budgeting. From the 3 months we spent with Wash for Cars, I can see that the campaigns needed time to show up in the bottom line, and for this reason, I recommend a smaller monthly spend, but over a longer period. Also, with this local factor in mind, I challenge you to think of ways you can sell online to a wider audience. Washed gift packs are a great example of e-commerce sales working in your industry, but it's still limited to their local area as they contain car wash vouchers. If the voucher was switched out for a similar valued car-related product, we could add another 15 million potential customers to the market size. And finally, the elephant in the room, the weather. I've alluded to it yesterday and today, and I don't need to tell you that it's a major factor in driving sales or not. The 3 months we ran these tests were some of the wettest that the Brisbane and Gold Coast areas had had in years, up 36% from the year before. For the purpose of this case study, we made the decision to run the campaigns at all times, but from spending 3 months engrossed in the car wash industry, I would suggest that, particularly with any Google search ads, you run 2 campaigns, one that is always on at a lower spend and one that can be turned on and off depending on the weather and perhaps other factors like days of the week and time. Some of this can be automated within Google and Facebook ad platforms, and there are also specific ad platforms like weather ads that allow you to set temperature and weather settings for when you want your ads to show. Using a system like this or building it into your internal processes, the ability to turn campaigns on and off and ramp spend up depending on the weather is an important component to marketing car washes, and to be honest, something I underestimated when we started. So we've looked at 3 months of different campaigns, testing online gift pack sales with some success, car wash subscriptions with more success, $5 off coupons with little success, other than an increase in emails for our database, and a more generic approach that aligned with a noticeable increase in sales. So where to here for your business? How do you get started? Firstly, I'm going to assume you all want more sales. Secondly, I'm going to break you into 2 groups. Those who just want to pay someone or some business to do all this for them, and those who want to learn how to manage this for their business themselves, or who might have internal staff who can take on the work. I'll speak to the first group first. Yesterday I mentioned how good my industry is at charging you a very similar amount to the extra amount we are capable of making for you. For example, if my fee is $2,000 a month, I'm reasonably confident I can generate around that amount back from my skills alone. What I'm not so confident about is that I can deliver on a 5 or 10 times return on this. This is because that next level of return is hard, takes time and experimentation, and as we've learned in this case study, requires a specialist knowledge of your industry and, to top it all off, the right weather. My guess is that those of you who have tried the marketing agency approach have stopped after a few months as you've found it hard to justify the costs against the return. For those of you who found success with an agency, it's most likely where you and the agency have both been upfront about your expectations and taken the time to listen to each other, or simply a series of prolonged dust storms have rolled through town and they're thinking, how easy is this car wash marketing? So the key to a successful agency relationship is in the expectation and communication. The more they promise, the less likely they are to be able to deliver on that promise. The honest agency will have had success before, but they will also have had failures. Unless they are car wash industry experts, they'll be on a learning journey too. It's your job to educate them on the intricacies of your business and industry and set the expectations you have for the investment you are going to make. You also need to both be really clear on how you are going to measure success and how long you think it will take. My experience is that it will take twice as long as you'd like it to before you see results. Sales will build slowly over time, and you're better to be in market for a longer time at a lower budget than a short, sharp hit. The agency will walk you through what they are going to do and how they do it, and assuming you are both on the same page on what success looks like, within 3 months you should be starting to see growth, and at 6 months you're likely to be at peak performance. Once you're comfortable that you're getting the results, they will most likely start to walk you through growth options. And at this stage, you'll have a much better understanding of what return you are getting and the benefits of scaling it. If after this time you're still unsure of that return or can see there is none, then it's time to call it quits and try something new. The agency will understand this because you've set the expectations together at the start. The second option is to educate yourselves or one of your staff as to the digital marketing platforms and techniques I've outlined and build your own agency within your business. This is becoming the more popular route for most small businesses and is helped by Facebook and Google platforms themselves providing account managers to help you with the setup and management. Now, I certainly don't recommend that you try and learn all this yourself from scratch, nor that you take 8 hours from your already busy week and put it towards digital marketing. But what is becoming more popular is an agency business hybrid model whereby we train you in the skills as we go so that at some point you are confident to take over the campaigns when the time is right. There are a number of online providers who specialise in this training, and you come with your business ready to get started and they will help you learn as you go. It's important to remember that both Facebook and Google set up their ad platforms for small businesses to not need an agency in order to advertise. And while there are some tricks to these platforms, they are on the whole becoming simpler. And with the advent of AI, will soon be very light touch. Facebook in particular is going all in on this AI approach, and you can now create a campaign using AI targeting, which outperforms anything I can manually create for you, and will generate AI copy for your ad and even use their stock images if you don't have your own. I'm going to spend the next few minutes showing you how simple it is to set up both a Google campaign and a Facebook campaign, so you can decide for yourself if this is something you want to attempt. We'll start with Facebook, probably the easier of the two. This is the Facebook ad platform home screen. You'll see that there are 3 campaigns here that we ran for Sam's business, the $5 off, Wash Club and Mother's Day campaigns. You'll also see this big green button on the top left with Create written on it. Let's pretend we've clicked that. We then get the option to choose from 6 campaign types, each aligned to a different business goal we are trying to achieve. You will most likely want either a traffic campaign that sends as many people as possible to your website, or in the case of selling subscriptions or gift packs, a sales campaign. Most of you will want the traffic campaign, so let's choose that. This will bring up 2 options. Basically, Facebook's preset campaign that uses their Advantage Plus or AI targeting, or a manual campaign that you can set the parameters for. Let's assume that the robots are smarter than us and go with the recommended AI option. We then get the ability to work through 3 screens of information. You'll see it highlighted on the left-hand side. The first screen is an overview of the campaign, and all we must do here is enter a name and then hit Next. Now, this next screen is where the magic happens. This is why Facebook is worth what it is and changed the game in terms of digital marketing. Here we get to choose what action we want the campaign to take. In this case, we want the maximum number of clicks through to our website. If this was a sales campaign, we'd want the maximum number of purchases, for example. But in this case, we just want the most visits. We then set a budget, and if we want an end date for our campaign. You'll see this box on the right, estimated daily results for reach being the number of people who will see the ad, and link clicks, the number who will visit your website. Now, these results are for a $20 a day ad spend. If we increase this to $50 a day, you'll see it increases the numbers. This is Facebook predicting what it's going to return for you. And at the first instance, these numbers can be a little bit rubbery before it's learnt more about your business. But as it learns how people interact, it gets more accurate to predict. The final setting we get is an audience targeting one. You'll see our location here is defaulted to Australia. I'm going to change that to a 4K radius of my imaginary car wash in Sandringham in Victoria. You'll also see that the audience size, when it was Australia-wide, showed between 12 and 14 million potential audiences. And it's now showing 77,000 once I hone in on my territory. Plus, my expected link clicks are less, down from an estimated $100 a day when I was advertising Australia-wide to $40 a day now that we are in a localised area. But I am now speaking to potentially direct customers. Yes?
Would you, if you're setting it up and you live in an area where tourism is quite high, would you leave it Australia-wide?
Look, no, I would probably leave it within a radius of your business. It will be a more immediate sale. So if people are looking for a service, they will most likely see you that day through their feeds. So if it was more a long term, you do have the ability to target people who live in an area but may be travelling to the area. So there is that more detailed targeting, but for this exercise, I'd stay as close to your business as you can. That's all right. I also have the ability to select a minimum age if I choose. And if I wanted to overwrite the AI targeting, I can play with the gender and interests. You will see I can add car wash as an interest. This will tell the ad platform that I want to specifically target those who've shown an interest in car washing. And you'll see on the right side, for my $50 a day targeting, I'm now down to 17 estimated link clicks. The more you hone in on an area, the more Facebook will charge you for that pleasure. Now, if this was 12 months ago, I would have suggested that you spend some time and hone in on your best audience. But since Facebook bought out their Advantage Plus campaign, it will now find your audience, not from these interests, but from a little bit of code you place on your website called a pixel. And it learns the type of people who visit your website and is much more accurate at finding you new customers than if you try and override their targeting with your own. So for this campaign, we wouldn't touch any of this targeting. Rather, we would let the platform learn who is most interested in your services. The final stage is to create the ad. Here we can select a photo, and then we add the copy we'd like to include in the ad, and it will show us on the right the ad as it's being created. The final step is to enter the web page you want visitors to go to when they click on your ad and hit publish. Now, in the time it has taken me to run you through that, you could be up and running with Facebook ad targeting those in your area for as little as a few dollars a day. The review process takes between 10 minutes and an hour, and your ads would be live. Google is similar in how it works, and this is the Google home screen. You simply click the blue plus button to create a campaign and select New Campaign. You then have a similar campaign objective screens to Facebook. In our case, we would select website traffic. We're then asked for our conversion goals. If there's one element you're likely to need help with, it's this one. And I'll show you at the end how you can request a call from Google Account Specialist who'll help you set this up. You then select a campaign type, for which for us is going to be search. That's the ads you'll see when you put a search into the Google search engine. We tell Google our website URL and we give the campaign a name and click continue. And we tell it that we want to focus on clicks to get as many people as possible to our website for the lowest price. There's more sophisticated targeting around events, but when we're getting started, we just want the most people so that the ad platform can learn who they are, and later on we can bring in some of that sophistication. And then we get to select our location. And I'm again going to select a location with a 4-kilometre radius around me in Sandringham in Melbourne. And then I'm going to enter my keywords. And I'm only interested in 2. Car wash and car wash near me. These seem to account for almost all searches within the industry. Yes? Absolutely. Yes, and as I wrote this slide, I thought into the water is probably not a high demographic area. You're paying if someone clicks. So if I was on my yacht and clicked, yes, I would pay. But beyond that, no. You're not paying if someone's not clicking. Sorry.
Does Google take into account abbreviations, car wash being spelled together, separate?
Yes. So they have different types of keywords, and what we would usually use is a broad search, and it would look for those 2 words and anything around it at times. So you can find that someone searching car wash and then your suburb would still be encompassed in that keyword, yet as long as you're using a broad search type. Right? There's another layer again of sophistication you can get into with this keyword targeting, and if you had dog washers and all sorts of other products, it would be worth including. But when you look at the raw data as a percentage, you're at the high 90s. You go from 6 million a year to a very small percentage for anything else. So we're at radius. And we've entered our 2 keywords. Finally, I'm going to create our ad. You'll see, like Facebook, it builds the ad example to the right. And as I enter different information, and there are lots of text prompts, it's pulling from my website as suggestions for ad copy. This is part of the new AI component to Google and Facebook's offering, is it will make suggestions for you. Traditionally, this has been one of the harder parts you can get to in this process because it requires a degree of creativity. There's a lot of limitations around the character numbers that they'll let you use. And they could see people giving up at this stage. So they now give you many prompts. And you'll see on this far left side, they're wanting as many options as you can think of with their help to then throw at the ad platforms to optimize what works best. So they just want data, and they'll do the rest for you. So once we've got to this point, all we do is hit publish, and the ad goes through a review process that usually takes a few hours, and then your ads are live, being seen by those in your area searching for your car wash terms. I have simplified it a little, but not much. If you spent half an hour with the provided Google and Facebook account specialist, you would be walked through this process for free. Whether you choose to try this on your own or pay for some help, the process we ran through are the parameters that we all work within. And the more that you understand what makes the system work, its strengths and limitations, the more you can find ways to make it work for your business. The major benefit of learning and managing your own account is that if it works for you, you will have an intrinsic understanding of it and become confident in scaling the campaigns where you see opportunity. I know this because I've gone from spending tens of dollars of days on one of my own businesses to now at times over $4,000 a day, and would never have had the confidence to do this if I had not understood the process at every step. So going it alone doesn't necessarily mean you are alone, but rather when you speak with an agency or specialist, state that you would like to take over the management of your campaigns in 6 months, and that you are open, and are they open to teaching you as they go? Some will say no, but there will be others that see the benefit in this. There are also many courses that you can take, or if you're like me, log on, create an ad account, create a campaign, click yes, I want to speak with a specialist, Spend a half an hour on the phone with them, drive your web designer mad sending them tracking pixels to a stall, and then hit go on your first campaign, usually for the grand sum of $10 a day, and see what happens. For all you know, in 12 months' time, you'll be standing up here telling your fellow car washer owners how easy it was and how it has grown your business. A massive thanks on my behalf to Samantha and her team from Washed for Cars for going the extra mile in helping me understand your industry a little better and persisting with my many questions. And thanks to you all for being a great audience. I've really enjoyed getting to know your industry and appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. So if there are any questions, I'm more than happy to answer, or if you've sat here for 5 hours, I'll understand if there's not. Sorry.
Is there any companies that you would not recommend?
Oh, look, the simple answer is no. There are many companies, many companies. When I started my business, there was 4 of us in Melbourne, and this is 15, 16 years ago, and we divided the town into quarters, and we had an absolute ball doing it. I would say now there'd be 40,000 people, who could do that job. My advice is to find someone who doesn't overpromise. There can be a real cookie-cutter approach to our industry that works for our businesses much more than it might work for yours. A trusted specialist, as in an individual, might be a better option than a bigger agency. I genuinely, if I can impart one thing, if this is going to work for you, it's going to involve spending real money. You're going to invest in over a year, tens, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars, and there will be businesses that spend in the millions. You will only ever get the confidence to do that if you understand it totally. And the only way to do that is to go along that journey with that specialist agency or in your own learnings at every point. Because if I hand you a spreadsheet that says it's amazing, we need to spend more, let's scale it, it just doesn't work. The numbers aren't enough of the story, because there are good days and bad days and good weeks and bad weeks. And something I learnt in your industry was the weather being a large component, and I did a lot of research into software that can automate the ads for you around the weather. So that is something, if we had a month 4 or 5 for this campaign, I would certainly be doing. Yep.
Types in car wash near me.
Yep.
They're either sitting in their lounge or in their car. The car's dirty, and I've got 10 minutes to wash my car. I want to go and do it now.
Yep.
So what's the? How do we? I would turn it up when after bad weather and when
Yep.
clear days. I turn the campaign up. But how do we track that? That's the.
Yeah, and look, that's the complexity of your industry. You track it in the bottom line by understanding what you're investing and doing it over time. So we could see results on a graph going in the right direction from the spend. And there are things we can track within behaviours on websites and where they're going. In the context of a subscription, it is an e-commerce sale. You can track an actual purchase, and that's a great outcome. In the in-store experience, it's more difficult. We tried the coupons, and it was a failure in many ways. I was surprised at that. So track it through long-term sales and be clever about when you spend your real money. Sorry, up the back.
I can't remember the exact figures, but it looked like the click-through rate for the sales rate was relatively stable across both platforms. Did you do any studies on improving the conversion via testing A and B landing pages?
Look, that would have been my next. We didn't, is the simple answer to that. But that concept of a landing page and a conversion rate is sort of level 2 of what we're talking about here. So once you've got confident with the baseline, you can see a return. You then can maximise your return by improving your website and the offers that you put on that. So what we refer to as a conversion rate. So quite simply, for every 100 people who come to your website, how many of them come to your car wash? And if we were an e-commerce store, it'd be something like 3 or 5 or 8. And if it's 8, you've got a very successful business. Yeah, so one thing I've learnt with this Advantage Plus campaign that Facebook's now giving us is it's doing that for us. So it's replaced that funnel approach of that top, middle and bottom. And what we as marketers found difficult with that funnel approach was to know how much resources to give each level. And there was a lot of trial and error. And the problem with trial and error is there's so much seasonality in everything that we do that you need years of data to really get a deep understanding. When I at times have spent real money of my own in Facebook, I actually, as a sort of self-claimed digital marketing specialist, employed another agency out of New York to come and do what I was doing for a 3-month period to check my work. You get this insecurity in what you're doing. Is there some secret that I don't know that someone else knows that's going to improve my bottom line in some significant way? The Advantage Plus and this idea of automation is taking some of that fear away, and the platforms are optimizing your spend as best they can. And they're doing a better job than us marketers have. And I sleep better for it. I would much rather them doing that. They have the data. They know who's most likely to be your next customer. They have the mathematicians to work that out. Yes?
Just on the cost factor, so if we start the program now, let's use a specialist
Yes.
like yourself, and we're going to run it for 6 months.
Yeah.
What's your gut feel cost?
Yeah, look, for me, it would be, look, demographically, you'd need to have a slightly better understanding of how many people you're servicing. But between $1,000 and $2,000 a month is where I would start. That's my starting number. And it needs to be a number that if you have a bad month, it's not the end of your world.
So that's including the cost of, let's say, somebody like you.
Well, this is where it gets complicated because I'm very good at taking another $2,000 of your money. So this is partly why I'm trying to... Well, this is the experience many of us have had, and it doesn't work for me either. I'd much rather become an educator than I would be a retainer relationship, because in small business land, the middleman, me, there's just not enough. Certainly at the start. If we can scale, if you had 15 sites or 10 sites and we were scaling and we could see real return, and there is an argument for someone like myself to come in and help you with that. But initially, to get your guys comfortable with it, I think it's something well within your ability.
So I think where I'm going to go, I'm going to try and find a person who I will contract for or employ for 1 or 2 days.
Yeah, yep,
Who've got a lot of this knowledge
yep,
rather than do it in-house ourselves.
yep,
Have that person, so that's going to cost me, I don't know, 2 days, grand,
yep.
whatever it might be. And then on top of that is going to be the cost, I think, of
Yeah, and I think that's a reasonable way to do it. And when I said be your own marketing agency, that's what I meant. So in-house, that component to it. It depending on the person and what you want to pay for that, they may need help or they may not. But Google don't want me either as a middleman, or to Facebook. So they will give you account specialists. So these are the starting points. And at times you'll have to tell them to stop ringing you. They get pretty enthusiastic about talking to you. So it's a worthwhile relationship. Any other questions?
What's your thoughts on, you've not got a website, you're just looking for sales,
Yeah,
having Google, car wash near me,
yeah,
versus just general Facebook advertising?
yes. So,
What's the better option?
yeah, and the one thing that I found interesting was for the same spend between Google and Facebook, we were getting 15 times as many people from Facebook. So on the face of it, what looked like a much better outcome, but the sales results from both were exactly the same again. So when you get back to the final point that you want, which is that sale, they're very similar. So the way I would phrase it is Facebook is an awareness generating branded exercise. That's for the percentage of your marketing spend that would be 10, 20% in my mind of letting the world know you exist and your services and the point of difference you might have. The actual motivated customer who's going to come to you today, they're probably in Google. Full stop? Or Look, it's actually, it's a really good question. And Facebook are much further along in their automation, in being more mature product, and I trust the results. We're part of an experiment with Google at the moment. You can see it in the way they're getting their ad platform behind the scenes to try and find you the next audience, and because you get these patchy things happening over time. And when we run sort of 30 clients, and so it's enough to get a sense of everyone having a similar experience. Look, can you trust them? Look, you can. They are as invested in you being one of their customers as you are. The specialist they're going to give you is going to often give you the advice, if you spend more with them, you'll get more customers. That's not always the best advice. But what they'll also do is they'll teach you how to do everything else right. And if your budget, as Samantha's was in month 3, is $500 or $1,000 or probably even $2,000, that's as much of a help as you're going to need for now. And then my hope is in that experience you get some confidence and you see the results and you start to play with it, turning it up and down on different days and tracking it in store, and that sort of data is invaluable. And that's the secrets I would keep in your industry. That's the diary that I would have, is that on these weather days at this spend, I got this many more than I thought I would. And just play with that until you can find, because my guess is there's a really nice sweet spot where you keep a lot of your powder dry until the timing is right and you jump in. Google will never tell you when that is. They want your money every day at the same amount. So that's probably one of the things I learned. I've done a lot of work with an ice cream company, and I learned that people buy ice cream when it gets to 23 degrees. At 22 degrees, we're not interested. At 23, ice cream is sold. So weather is important. Any more questions? In Melbourne, they'd be high. But thank you, everyone. I genuinely have enjoyed learning something new, so thanks very much.